Hi guys, welcome to another episode of CDH.The Lost, a podcast about CDH. Today, it's just me gonna be for this episode, but that's okay. I'm gonna go over a few things. So we have I went to Punt City 3 with 6 friends, and most of us did pretty bad. Parker got like top 30, which is alright. Like if it was a bigger top cut, he would have made it. Atlas did the second best out of us. I scrubbed out, which is okay, but I took Fblthp, which isn't the ideal deck to take, but that's what I took. So I wanted to go through the deck and the different decisions that I made, and then I wanted to discuss Blue Farm, and this is the Blue Farm deck that I took to a Cardhaven tournament in Bellingham, Washington long time ago. Last updated 11 months ago, so almost a year ago now. But I think I want to bring it back, and I'm gonna kind of do a little bit of an update of the deck while I'm here talking to you guys. So yeah. So I went to Punt City with Parker, Dylan, Atlas, Jarrett, Zach, and Max. We had a great time. Like it was a super fun time. We had a blast. Stayed up very late one night just jamming games with different people's decks. We did the Redemption Challenge where we did a deck roulette. So we all got a random deck. I got to play Jarrett's Malcolm Tevesh list, which I'm not very good with, is the fun fact. But I'm going to talk about Fblthp, The Lost. I think going into it, I wanted to get more practice throughout the week before the tournament but I did not. I played 0 games since the Saturday when we went to Issaquah to play in the Laughing Dragon event. Um, so yeah, that wasn't great. So I was basically going into it super rusty, but that's okay. We do the things that we do. So Fblthp the Lost, we all know him, we all love him. I like to be the self-proclaimed best Fblthp player in the world because I think I'm the only one really playing Fblthp still. Um, we're on all kinds of tutors like Tezzeret, Fabricate, Merchant Scroll, Reshape, Solve the Equation, Transmute, every artifact you tutor or any tutor in general really that you can think of. I'm probably on it. I don't think there's one that I'm not. Oh, personal tutor I'm not on because it's a bad card. Um, what's the idea of the deck? I guess is probably relevant. There's a artifact called Proteus Death. 3 to cast, 3 to activate. Put target creature on the bottom of the owner's library. That creature's controller reveals from the top of their library until they reveal a creature card. Put that creature into play and the rest on bottom in any order. Activate only as a sorcery. As you can see, there's no other creatures in the list. So what does that mean? When you target Fblthp with the staff, you'll go on the bottom of the deck, and then you will reveal your entire library, and then you will get to stack your deck, basically, because all your cards are revealed, and then it says put the revealed cards on the bottom in any order, so you get to stack your deck. So how does one win with a stacked deck? We have Isochron Scepter with Dramatic Reversal. So do you have enough rocks? Typically, rocks that tap for 3 mana, ideally one of them being blue. You can create infinite mana with Isochron Scepter and Dramatic Reversal. And if one of them taps for blue and you can net a blue mana, you can activate the staff again to go get another pieces of your combo. That line, there's a Codex Shredder, which is right here, which you can tap to make target player mill a card. Yeah, so you can kill the table. If there's like a Girog player there or someone playing Eldrazi's, this line doesn't become doable anymore, and you have to find a different way to do it. So the other line, other than that, is, let me find it, Nexus of Fate. 7 mana instant, take an extra turn after this one. If it's put in graveyard from anywhere, reveal it, shuffle it into its owner's library. So you can, if you have 10 mana and the Proteus Staff out, you can activate it for 3, stack your deck, go get Nexus of Fate and a land, cast the Nexus of Fate, play your land for turn, and continue to do that until you can overload a Psych Rift or capsize a bunch of times to bounce all your opponent's permanents. And then you can, once all their permanents are bounced, if you can't kill them with Fblthp combat damage, which you should be able to do, but let's say for some reason they have like the one ring protection, you can, after you're done doing that, get back to basics, counterbalance, uh, and all the other stacks pieces like Trinisphere that you have in your deck, and make it so they just can't play the game. Typically, the Trinisphere itself is going to do enough because they're going to have no lands even because it's capsized because you can target lands, and then they won't be able to cast anything. Um, yeah, which is very good. And then you go to your turn, and then you'll be able to win the game. I was a little worried about the time restraints because in the Isequal tournament at Laughing Dragon, I got 4 draws and a win in Swiss because the deck does kind of have a hard time presenting a win in a fast enough time period, which I'm working on slowly. It'll get there, I think. Some ideas or new cards that I was playing. I'm on Trickbind and Stifle. I always thought I only wanted one Stifle effect in the deck, but I decided to go up 2, and it helped in one of the games where I used both of them, and it felt really good. I think I'm going to keep it 2, maybe go up to 3 with like a defabricate or something. But yeah, I think they performed really well. Cards that I might think about cutting. C double. I thought C double you could let me find it here. C double I thought you could play and win with like Thassa's Oracle combo, but you cannot. So I think it's coming out, and there was a time where it copied a Crom, which felt really good, but I just needed a way to. I think I need more ways to like interact proactively than just C double, where sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's not, because it's kind of like my opinion of Oppo, where you want to get people with it, so you'll hold it even though there's a better time to use it. Cards that I took out that are normally in. I'm normally on Arcane Laboratory and Chalice of the Void. I took both of them out because I thought the meta wasn't going to need them, and I was pretty much right about that. Arcane Laboratory would have came up in like one of the games, I think, but I might have not even drawn it. Chalice, I think, is a good card, but can be hard to use correctly in CDH. We're off of Paradise Mantle. I was on it, but Fblthp sometimes just isn't relevant enough of being a mana dork in order for it to be useful. Pithing Needle is really good in the Pacific Northwest meta because you play against your Kinnons, your Kenris, your Sisseys, so having an additional way to just hit it is probably pretty good. You could also hit like the One Ring and other relevant pieces on the battlefield, but I wasn't playing it and I don't think I missed it. Cards that I wanted to be playing but I didn't bring with me. Thought Vessel and Reliquary Tower we thought were good ways if I ever had like a fish or heuristic study out where I was just drawing a ton of cards. So I didn't have to discard down to hand size because that's something that we noticed that can happen a lot when I have those pieces. Um, yeah, so there's just a bunch of counter spells. Bunch of ways to tutor. We are on a lot of take an extra turn spells. We're on 1, 2, 3, 4 of them currently, and they're really good with your One Ring, and they're really good with your Proteus staff. Because if you have 8 mana, you can activate your staff, go get a capture, cast it, play a land, go get temporal manipulation, cast it, go get Karn's Temporal Sundering in a land, cast it, and then you're up to the Nexus of 8 mana, and then you can do the loop, which is pretty relevant. And then we're Steel Enchantment came up twice, I think. I think I stole 2 Mystic Remoras. I didn't see a lot of Ristics. Never drew Copy Enchantment, but I think it's definitely worth a slot in the deck because it can just be so brutal. Counterbalance, I'm still not that high on, but I'm keeping it in to try it out. But it's a card that I could, if someone wanted to build this deck and cut Counterbalance, I wouldn't be upset with them. Our lands, I went up City of Traders for this event. I don't think I played it once, but I decided to play City of Traders over Rivendell, which lets you scry to have a legendary permanent for 2 mana, which most of the time never came up. It came up like once in my like 2 months of having it in the deck. So I was like, City of Traders lets you have 2 extra mana once you get to the Nexus of Fate to overload your Psych Rift, and it replaces Ancient Tomb, so you don't have to take 2 each upkeep. Yeah, and then typical mana base Tabernacle, of course. Yeah, so that was the deck. Um, it didn't perform how I wanted it to. I also don't think I was in the proper mental state for the tournament, but that's okay. We all go through things. We'll get the next tournament. Still proud with the deck, but I want to try something new. And new might be Blue Farm. Um, this is the list that I took like close to a year ago now, 11 months ago, to a Cardhaven tournament. I pretty easily got top 4. I think I went 3-0-1 in Swiss, and then we split top 4 because one of the workers had to go to work because they were playing and thought they were gonna do bad. With that being said, it's a weird list. We're on Adnaz, of course. We're on that game plan, but we were on some interesting choices. Like the enchantment seemed fine. I was on Smothering Tithe before people were on Smothering Tithe, which I think is a pretty sick like homage of my ability to see how the game's gonna progress moving forward. But I was like, I wanted to be a wheel deck. I wanted to be like old Opus Thief in a sense. So I was on Smothering Tithe to take advantage of the wheels. I was on Narset. I was on Notion Thief. I think this was before Bowmasters was a Magic the Gathering card, which is pretty insane to look at a deck before Bowmasters. But I was on Windfall, Wheel, Time Twister. So I was on all 3 wheels, all 3 pieces of interaction to go with those wheels. And then we're just a good old blue farm deck. Like Dothy, I was on Kitten Teferi combo because I was like, that combo is so cool. I like this combo. And then we have Dockside, of course, best card in the deck. Dranith, Hesper Sentinel. Fairy Mastermind, I think, is a card that would come out now, so let's move it to sideboard. Notion Thief, although I think it's a cool card, I don't think it does enough. Unfortunately, Sarah Ascended, I think, is a bad card. A card I'm really high on right now in your Tymna decks, even I think Blue Farm, is Loyal Apprentice. Let me put that in the deck. 2-1 for 2 with haste. At the beginning of combat of your turn, if you control one of your commanders, create a 1-1 Flying Thopter with haste. It's really good. Like if you go turn 2 this, turn 3 Tymna, you're going to be able to attack 2 opponents, or if you go turn 2 Tymna, turn 3 this, you can attack all 3 opponents, draw 3 cards. It really gets your Tymna engine going, if that's what you're going for. And then other cards, normal, simple things. Rite of Flame is a card that I think I would be off of now, because I'm not the biggest fan of rituals. I think you're still supposed to be on Dark Ritual and Cabal Ritual, but the other ones, maybe not so much. Adnaz, this is always like a spot in people's brains of like, is Blue Farm supposed to be on Adnaz now? The answer is yes. It should just stay on Adnaz. And then this is also before Born Upon the Wind, but I think Born gave the deck some actual more legs now. Because I was experiencing playing against Blue Farm, it's not that potent because you kind of know when it's going to go off. But with the Born Upon the Wind, you can just win on top of somebody, which is really, really helpful. Soul Partition back in when this deck was played, Soul Partition was overly played, I think. There's better options now, I think, in the format, but it is cool to like hit your dock side and do that kind of thing. Our artifacts, pretty typical. We're on all We're on 2 talismans, Arcane Signet, so pretty heavy on the 2 drops. Maybe we go down one of those and go up something. Enchantments, I'm kind of liking Necropotence in Blue Farm now, if I'm being honest, just because it's another way for you to dig towards your wins. But I could be totally wrong about that. And then looking at the land base, it's pretty typical from everything that you'd normally see. Maybe Spires isn't supposed to be in there, but everything else looks pretty normal. Yeah, so maybe I want to do something with Blue Farm. I was also thinking, let me make a new deck. Baby Farm, Commander, Lucas, and then Wernog, create. So Lucas and Wernog, so Blue Farm color still, but then you get to play different win cons. You're still on your Thassa's Oracle. There's supposed to be two S's here, but you're on Thassa's Oracle. You're on your, let me just type in consult so we have both of the combos here. And then let me type in Tainted Pact because it will be a Tainted Pact mana base. But then you also get to play your Underworld Breach combos like normal, Blue Farm, which is still fine. Yeah, so you get to play Lion's Eye Diamond, which is pretty good. And then play just our normal Underworld Breach stuff. But then you get your World Gorger, Dragon, if you want, with like Necromancy. And then you get your Necropotence with your Born Upon the Wind. So you play a lot of these different combos that do combo well together because you're going to be playing Entomb if you're on World Gorger, but that also combos with your Underworld Breach. And then Necromancy is really good with like Thassa's Oracle or World Gorger because you can just be able to Necromancy or Thassa's Oracle if you discard it to then Demonic Consultation or Chain Impact on top. And then Warnog, of course, gives you treasures and can kill, not treasures, clues and can kill the table. So when you have your Wargolger Dragon combo going, you'll just be able to make infinite clues if Warnog's out, and then with your mana, draw them, draw Porn Up on the win on top of everyone. And then, of course, you get your silence effects. Ranger, Captain. Probably could be on. Excuse me. Excuse me. On Orim's Chant, which probably isn't the best silence, but it does the job. So Ranger, Silence, Orim's Chant, Grand Abolisher, Dockside, of course. And then you get to play your Rock package, of course. And then I don't know if Lucas has like a home in the deck, but he's definitely interesting. Maybe you can play like a Basilisk Caller, which is 1 mana equipment 2 to equip a quick creature as Death Touch and Lifelink, so you can put it onto Lucas, and he can just start killing creatures, which might be playable, or even just goading him is pretty good. I wonder if playing just straight up Timna, the Weaver, in the deck is playable. Another theory that I've been thinking about is, since Crom is such a good draw engine in the command zone, is he just playable in the 99? So that would be something that I would test, I think. But yeah, you get to play this Blue Farm-esque deck where you're still accruing tons of value because that's what the deck does. But then you get to play these cool combo lines like Necropones, Born Upon the Wind, World Gorger Dragon, and other cool stuff like that. So I think that's something that I'm gonna play around with. Maybe even like Razaketh is a card that you can play in here. Um, to like sack or not get more clues, but then tutor your library for combo pieces. And since you're already on Necromancy, animate dead. You'll be able to accrue value and be able to win the game. I think it's a list that I'm going to try out, but I wanted to discuss some of the ideas while I write them down so we don't lose our train of thought. Mystic Remora, and then we can go to my decks, and then also in here I've been working on Big Life Bros. There's an idea that I had while there with Queza. I was looking at just enchantments to see what was there. Lich's Mastery, 6-mana enchantment, hexproof. You can't lose the game. Whenever you gain life, draw that many cards. Whenever you lose life, for each 1 life you lost, exile a permanent you control or a card from your hand or graveyard. When this leaves the battlefield, you lose the game. Seems pretty mid. But when you have Queza, whenever you draw a card, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. And the Lich's Mastery, as soon as you draw your first card, you start a loop of where you deal a damage to someone, you gain a life, which is going to trigger the Lich's Mastery to draw you a card. So you'll be able to draw your deck with her out and Lich's Mastery and gaining 1 life exactly. So I was building the deck a little bit. Bolas' Citadel with like Sensei's Dividing Top seems pretty good since we're going to be gaining quite a bit of life, I think. And then Necropones, of course, we can dump a ton of life since we're going to have to be on Born Upon the Wind and Emergence Zone in the deck. Before we can play the Lich's Master, we have to make sure that we have access to Emergence Zone correct or Born Upon the Wind cast with backup most likely. Just because you're going to need to be able to, with one of the Queza abilities or the draw triggers on the stack, you cast Born Upon the Wind, draw a card, trigger Queza, but that's when the ability resolves, you draw a card, so then all your spells will flash. So you continue to draw your deck, but you can respond before you draw the rest of your deck and cast like a Thassa's Oracle with every piece of interaction in your hand, and typically all your mana rocks on the battlefield as backup to cast your counter spells. That's the idea of the deck. I don't know if it's any good. Other than that, it would be a Esper control list. So you probably want Tainted Pact, not Tainted Pact, Toxic Deluge, and like maybe Winds of Abandon. I'm high on this card, and then maybe even one more, because you're already going to be on Psych Rift, so that's like 3 board wipes, which is pretty good. Maybe you're also on Dam. I think Dam's a pretty decent board wipe, but you're on all those, and I think you're just a control deck that plays your Ristic Studies, Mystic Remoras, draw cards, oppose people, wipes the board when you need to, and then you assemble this Queza, Lich's Master, Necropones thing, where if you have the Necropones out, you probably have a pretty good chance of winning. I don't know if you want to be on like the Flash Speed or Artifact lines, which you might be, but that's something that I think one person can discuss. There's probably other cards that could be in the deck that I'm not thinking of right now. But yeah, I just wanted to get on here, talk about a few decks that I'm working on. Fblthp, which hopefully I'll get a primer out here for soon, but I'm a pretty busy human. So we're going to keep on plucking away until that gets done. And then, yeah, maybe make some few changes. I'm going to avoid playing Fblthp, I think, for a little bit, just so I still have an interest in playing him. But it's probably going to be Baby Farm or Big Life Bros that we're going to be playing with Queza. Maybe even just straight up Blue Farm. We haven't decided yet, but yeah, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all that fun things. Sorry for the short episode. I just wanted to make sure we get one out. The next episode, I believe, is going to be me, Dylan, and Parker, and we're going to be talking about our trip down to Punt City 3, and it should be a good time.